Hello and welcome back to ZIM Explorer. I'm Dr. Abstract. In this ZIM Explorer, we've got something fun planned. It's been 10 years for ZIM! Yay! So we're going to take a look through ZIM and some of the changes over 10 years. So let's have a look at ZIMJS.com, and this is the current site right here. We've got a 10 years of code banner up, and we'll press that later, and this will bring us into a forum post where we do some general announcements about the progress of ZIM, including a link probably to this video. And so we have the current site here with the 10 banners. These were launched actually in ZIM 10. Oh, the studio. This was an exciting move into VR and 3D. ZIM Store. And we continue to come in at much less code than others. We probably added, this is only some of the comparisons. If you press this, it'll go to more comparisons. And then we've probably doubled those comparisons and just haven't posted them. But they're all quite similar. And reviews. If you ever want to give ZIM a review, you're welcome to come to the forum and just let us know, hey, here's a review. And the gold bars down here at the bottom with school and kids. There is a map as well, which shows all of the links. Yeah, let's pop on up to the top. Okay, so the About section has an intro about ZIM, a vision of code creativity, which lets you code creativity and using ZIM's code creativity. And then the features. Wow, look at that list, huh? Lot to look at. Probably can't read it all now. Put it on pause. Have a read through. The uses of ZIM. And then here are the versions. So this is primarily what I want to talk about. So we're on ZIM 017 right now, where we introduced Rive integration. Here is, and a chatbot and other kind of cool things. Here is 016, where we brought in shaders. 015, texture actives. That's, again, getting ZIM into three.js as an interactive surface. Pretty amazing. ZIM 014, where we brought in the store and the ZIM Editor. We now have at least a couple hundred editor examples. And ZIM version ZIM, we thought we were done. We actually thought we were done in ZIM 10, but this is ZIM version ZIM, and there was actually, we thought we were done, but we had ZIM 00, 01, and 02, and these were actually major launches, or considered major launches at the time, and thought we would just keep on numbering up. And eventually we kind of thought, well, okay, we'll drop into a more traditional numbering system going up. ZIM NFTs, where we showed how ZIM could be used for NFTs. ZIM is an NFT, still available for 1 Teso. 0.1 Teso. Yeah, I can't remember. I think it was 0.1 Teso. That's, yeah, something like 10 cents. And ZIM CAT and ZIM 10. So ZIM 10, that's when we thought we were finished, and we really hit ZIM 10. ZIM 10 had a whole bunch of really large subversions because we didn't want to go past 10. So really, that could have been another 3 or 4 major versions right there just in ZIM 10. We finally gave up and came out to ZIM CAT, which was a lot of fun. Let's see, Neo, and then if you guys been around ZIM for a while, then you know the older versions where we introduced the animation and dragging along paths. ZIM 10 also provided those banners, by the way. And right back, ZIM 4th was all of the methods, so we turned ZIM into, we're built on Create.js. And for a while at the beginning, there's the original site right here. This is what the original site looked like by the way. It's kind of broken. It used to have, you'd press on these things and they would go to the sections, but it was all built in one page and it would just sort of show the section. I'm not sure what happened along the way, but somewhere along the way, all those sections just clumped at the bottom of them. We're sort of looking, what, did browsers change or something? Like that? It wasn't our fault. But anyway, this was the site back then, and here is the very last library that was posted. It was right here, 2014, November 21st. So that's when we realized that we turned 10, is because it just has been November. It's now December. Yeah, there we go. Neat, huh? So we used to have modules that you would have to grab independently if you wanted to use them. And in the end, we realized as a framework that it was probably best just to bunch them all up. And we also introduced at one of them ZIM Try, I think it was. How do I get back out of here? ZIM Try. I can just go back. TRI for the third one. This one right here. We introduced 3 helpers, and let's see if they're on here somewhere. One was Wonder, where we could do microstats. One was Async. Here they are right here. Wonder, Async, and Distill. And as soon as we made Distill, which takes any of your ZIM code that actually, or the parts of ZIM that you're using, and grabs only those and minifies it, then we realized, well, there's no point really having modules because modules still waste download because you've got, there's parts of the modules that you're not using, whereas Distill takes only the code that you're using. So I heard later that that was called tree shaking. We invented it as Distill. But of course, minifying code, or, well, not minifying, what's it called? When you pick only the code, compiling, I guess that would be. So compiling has been around for a long time. But in the JavaScript world, it was pretty neat how we did Distill, where we have tracked everything in ZIM. If you just turn Distill on and then use the app, it will record all of these little numbers, and then you can pass in those numbers and it will distill those. So that was our version of tree shaking at the time, and it was one of the things that was launched in ZIM Try. By the way, these early on we had interactive logos, which were a bit more fun and interactive, but we did a few of those along the way as well. ZIM Fourth, you could drag these little balls around and stuff, and ZIM Try was there. Or, as we like to say, try ZIM. So rather than ZIM is trying, we put the try on the top and made it try ZIM. Yay. Duo was quite an invention as well. That's where we introduced the ways that you could pass in parameters in a regular way, or you could pass in a configuration object. And that has become very, very, very handy because in ZIM Fourth, right here, we well, that's when we brought in all the methods, and all those methods also use the ZIM Duo technique. So that's wonderful. And they have many, many parameters, so that's handy. And we thought we invented that too, but then 10 years later, 10 years later, just last year, 9 years later, we'll call it, I was told, oh, Python does that by Pragma. Pragma said that. Python's done that. And I went, what? And then looked, and sure enough, Python can do that as well. But we can do, we're a JavaScript framework, and so we can do that, and that's been very handy. Alrighty, so what I'd like to do now then is we can sweep on through some of the other things that we might want to notice as we are turning 10 is our examples. Our examples are just, there's so many now. So these are featured examples. And basically what we've been doing is we have some features which are complete, like a lone droid and GenPen. And then, so they're intermixed in here. But what we've basically been doing is, as we've been launching new versions, we're taking the new things. So how we brought in the assets is new, pack was new, etc. The texture actives is new. So they're not necessarily all complete examples. Some are more minor examples, just showing new things. And so here's a batch from the latest versions. But if you really wanted to see that, you can also press up here, and that takes us through what's new in the various versions. But let's just keep on going down here in the examples, see what we've done. We've got collections is next, and there's the ZIM bit 64. A ZIM story is in a storybook. It shows you the features of ZIM. The Expo from the editor now has 200, 300 examples in there, all divided up into basics, mid, and advanced, and demos, etc. A collection of how ZIM can work with three.js. We just added that yesterday. ZIM 017 features, a mini site for Rive, 016, a mini site for shaders, 015, a mini site for texture actives, how to make HTML5 game tutorial examples, ZIM 014, the ZAP store, so a collection of things for mobile and how that works with in-app purchasing, for instance, or we didn't actually go the full in-app purchase route, but we have a cross-app sign-in and collecting things and using what we've collected to unlock features, so that same kind of thing. ZIM Kids now has a Zap section as well, the ZIM version ZIM features, NFT features, generator mini site, on and on and on. So there's actually 35 mini sites now, as well as the main examples, and that sort of blew me away. It's like, holy cow, 35 mini sites, wow. So there's ones on physics, on particle emitters. All right, so that's a lot, and we've brought, because we've been here 10 years, I guess. We went through an NFT phase, loved that phase, actually had made lots of pretty interesting interactive art. Those are all collectible NFTs. These are all on TIA. I think some are on FX Hash as well. FX Hash is still going, where people are making thousands of dollars from their generative art. Wonderful art. Don't think it's dead, so check it out. Maybe be interested in viewing that. We stopped making NFTs a while back, though. We had kind of done enough. It was a fun time. We were also promoting them at the Pagodascope in VR, and the Pagodascope stopped. We are now moving ZIM into VR, though, and so we hope to do some more experimentations with that. There's a 3D maze. So now we're in our CodePen, and over the last year, we just added another 55 CodePen examples. So this whole batch here up at the top, we just added yesterday and realized, oh my gosh, we're a little bit behind. And so, yeah, lots of CodePen examples because we already had a whole bunch of CodePen examples. So there's the last batch of them. And then there's the Plasma Point collection as an example on mobile app communication, I guess. And encouraging people to explore ZIM. Every time you find one of these, you collect a plasma point, and that unlocks things, etc. Then we have older examples, although we put a few tools up there at the top as well. And sometimes we move the feature examples from up in the features down into the magical, and then our very early examples down below here. I think Pomp was... even Pomp, I had students saying that they loved that game, that they felt that that's how they felt. These circles grow, and you have to keep clicking them to make them smaller. That's how they felt as they were approaching final projects. How about that? So, I mean, it's still influencing and fun for them to see even the very earliest things on ZIM. But just beware when you're looking at the code there. We're probably half the code of this now. We've reduced code greatly through a number of conveniences, components, and controls that already exist that we may have had to build from scratch down in here. ZIM is amazing for making memes and being able to load pictures and save pictures. Very, very easy, one line each. So that's good use of the canvas for sure. This was a remake right here of paper.js. And I think if you go look at paper.js, it's still that. So we have changed our site dozens of times. And you look at Pixie, which is a competitor, they're the same front cover. It's just like, yeah, maybe we're doing too much work on our site. I don't know. Paper is the same as it was before. And when it comes to updates, where you can find those are in the docs here. Updates right here. So this is just a scan of the docs for you, I suppose. Whoa, there's our components. So that's sitting somewhere around 40 components. All those ZIM fourth methods that we mentioned. Controls, lovely things in here, and beautiful effects and stuff. Controls are when you control other things, like the pen actually makes a bunch of ZIM shapes. The book is operating on the shapes, etc. So that's the difference between a control and a component, which is newer. General coding and meta sections, and then all of our helper modules here. All right, so anyway, there are the updates right there. Updates, and there's 017, 016, all the way, well, we didn't have room on the bar. We do go beyond 10 all the way back to 1. So this is what they look like now, where we have pictures in them and links, and also example code. So there's example code, etc. So this is what the updates look like. We've just introduced end slicing as well, and we can outline images now with blobs and squiggles, and we have concave physics, which is good. Okay, locked down on our globals, so we're constantly tidying up the code as well. And behind, general updates, things that have broken in the past, like break things in the past, parameter orders, that kind of thing, and patches. So we're now doing just a major version with a bunch of patches that now that we're more stable, that seems to be a good way to go. Various site updates, editor updates, kids showing how to use data with Node.js. So we now have ZIM, as you'll see down here, shaders. Well, I mean, we don't have to go through all of this. But somewhere down here, you'll see that we've launched a set of templates for Angular, Vue, React, Svelte. We're all on Node.js now. We've got those packages, Node Package Manager, all worked out and working, etc. So that's good as well. All right, so here are some of the updates, but let's take a scroll here. You ready? So we stopped using pictures, but we were still using that stuff. So we're scrolling. Somebody was just saying how fast Rive is working, and that at that rate, blah, blah, blah. I'm going, man, Rive has launched, I don't know, 2 or 3 features. ZIM has, this is fast. This is progress. We've just become probably one of the largest Canvas frameworks, or one of the largest JavaScript frameworks, possibly one of the largest frameworks in the world. And it still runs. So we're going all the way back to 2.6, 2.1, and it looks like ZIM Duo. This was the launch of ZIM Duo. Here's what we added. ZIM 1 looks like it didn't have what was added. So pretty cool, huh? That's all of the updates in ZIM. And we've got a large Learn section that you're welcome to look into. That's been updated with a variety of features as well. We are about to redo probably the Learn JavaScript with creative coding. It was done in ES5, which is too bad, and done with an older version of ZIM. So that itself is quite an endeavor. So the basics, like how to do anything in JavaScript, but on the canvas. So learn how to do loops, conditionals, functions, arrays, all that kind of stuff, all those basics. And we go through 9 lessons. So this was a very large video project. I think that is, and all the way to data was, how can we tell, number 40. So 40 videos all broken down into subparts, all with the var keyword. It's like, and so now we're on ES6. But we do have in the Learn section, there's how to work with ZIM right here. So this is the ZIM Basics series. Oh, that's going to go off too. Ah! Close! Close! How do we get out of here? Ah, add. I'm in my Dr. Abstract YouTube rather than the ZIM YouTube. ZIM YouTube I paid so that we don't have ads when we work in ZIM and stuff. But the Dr. Abstract YouTube I didn't, so we got stuck seeing an advertisement. Hey! Somebody should pay for that. Anyway, I did want to take you, so that's just kind of like a view there. If you are a dev coming in, don't miss the devs. So devs is another way to view it, where we have more of how to add ZIM, like that thing, right to your site if you wanted to. Or how to add this, and click and follow, or add an emitter, or add a little pen, etc. So these are, you can see parallax, etc. These are a bunch of components that you can add to your site without having to have the whole page be ZIM. Here are those templates that we mentioned for that, reviews from people using this. There is the features, by the way, for all of the versions. So that's kind of neat to see. So you can check out, these are all the things we introduced in one, and then as we went through the batch of them, what were the features that we added. Okay, along with articles, and let's head on back to the main one. So if you're a dev, you can check that out. I wanted to pop in here and see the forum. You can also get to the forum here. Oh, before we pop though, let's have a look at this. So ZIM 017, each version that we do up here now has the features. So there's the ZIM 017 features. Here's the ZIM 016 features, including the bubbling videos. For each of those, we're now into several hundred, well, yeah, we're into the 200s in terms of bubbling features, or bubbling videos. And there's the VR stuff and more at the bottom. 014, ZIM, version ZIM, and each of the headers as well we've kept, so that's kind of neat to see. NFT sort of breaks the format there. CAT was kind of in the format, I guess, but it had this, it's nice drop down thing of the new features, as well as a fun little quiz about ZIM right here. So yeah, you could try that out still if you wanted. So that's where that is. Okay, all the mini sites for the different versions is now under a certain format up there. And let's now go into the 10 years. So this goes into the forum. And thanks, James, for making up the number 10 there and the ZIM colors. That was exciting. It actually, how that progressed is in here. But there's the early versions right here. Thanking a few people that have been around for a while and been in the forums a lot. And there's James saying, hey, ZIM 70. With us kind of commenting that maybe we're not 70. So he came back with a couple 10 versions. Okay, so here's some stats right here. So 17 major versions along with some caveats to that. 65,000 forum messages. 7 billion ZIM views. 200,000 video views, 800 videos. So ZIM now has 800 videos over these 10 years. 6,000 HTML pages in the ZIM directory. So our ZIM directory has 6,000 HTML pages. Oh my God. So that's me, you know, in behind have made 600 HTML pages, or 6,000, sorry. 1,000 CodePen followers. That's nice. When we started CodePen, it was like there wasn't going to be anybody there. We were so behind on that. Now we have certain pens with hundreds of likes. And when we first started, it's like, oh, can we even get any likes on these? And so that's nice. We would like to, we've got a good number of YouTube followers. That's nice. YouTube's not very social. We never hear from them, but they're there. We have over 500 stars on GitHub now. If you do have GitHub, we realize that a lot of people seem to rate frameworks based on their GitHub stars, and we haven't even paid any attention to that. We're also not always working with developers. You know, we're working with kids, we're working with people that just like creating, we're working with artists, and artists don't have GitHub. They don't have GitHub. So we never really put much stock in it. But if you do have GitHub, pop on by, please, and give us a star. That would be nice. Back on the ZIM site, under the gold bars, there's our GitHub right there. As a matter of fact, any of the social media, you're welcome to come in and follow us and give us a few likes. We'd love you to be a bit more social on the social media if possible, or have you given up on it? I'm not sure. It's kind of like developers, creators are just, I'm too busy working. I don't want to go out there in social media, do things. But you know, we don't charge for ZIM. Our reward is seeing that you use it, and I'm glad that you are using it. But sometimes hearts also help, you know, to say, oh, there's somebody there. Same with here. You know, come on in, and if you're here, give us a little icon somewhere. How do you make icons? I don't know. Maybe I can't make them on my own, but there they are, right there. Okay, we got some nice little icons. Don't worry about them. They're free to give. That would be wonderful. So anyway, other stats there. 1,700 editor zaps, so that's pretty good. In a year or so, our zaps have been growing. The editor is wonderful. I should probably take you there if you haven't seen the editor before. Beams are a way to send ZIM files to each other. We're up to 93, almost 100,000 lines of code in ZIM. And what is this star? Just the ZIM file, not the helper libraries. So if you include the helper libraries, we'd be beyond that. We do have now that nice system of importing ES6 modules, where if you want ZIM with three.js, it's ZIM_3. If you want ZIM with physics, ZIM_physics. And it's just one call. So one call up there at the top, and you got whatever you need. So that's nice. 400 doc entries and 3,500 parameters. Huh? Okay, so just some stats like that. Isn't that fun? We also gave a final exam, no, a build it exam, where I teach interactive media at Sheridan. And this was the exam for that, and you're welcome to take it. We put it in the community center where we were trying to get some code games going. So if you want to have a go at the exam, that would be fun to see your results. Okay, a few years ago, a client asked us to develop a very special landing page. The page had various music-related elements and rotary knobs. I had many attempts to code the knobs myself, but it didn't turn out well. While searching the internet, it came across this, and his life has been changed. Countless games, applications, cool developments in our systems, all based on ZIM, which makes life easier and more creative. Thank you very much, and may you continue doing wonderful things. So thanks, Amy. Yeah, it's a company with a bunch of people working in ZIM, which is very nice, and making hundreds of apps, not only for kids, but for everybody. James Barrett, who did this one right here, he's done hundreds of kids apps. Oh my goodness, they're starting to just be so creative. I can't believe he's still going with ideas. So if you can dig in and find out where he is, follow him on Instagram and realize, oh my goodness, so many things can be made with ZIM and creativity like he has. All right, so there's come on in, add your story. I'd love you to say hi. And if you haven't looked at ZIM, a good place to start is this editor right here. So let's go to the top, right there, editor. And here we were helping a matching game. We now have drops, so this is like dropping in the right place there. Oh, I think this one doesn't have the stage.update, else stage.update. Anyway, yeah, looks like I maybe should have put this stage.update. So the idea behind the editor is it's you edit over here. So I'm going to hit test now and see if my drop works better. Yeah, there we go. The stage.update, put that in behind right away. Okay, and right, so we've now got drop added. That's a feature that we've just added recently, and I was helping somebody, Karel, of course, helping Karel do that matching. I think this is how we started. Oh, isn't that hilarious? Karel, 5, 6, 7 years ago, wanted to do some sort of matching game where he matched words with an animal or something like that. And we showed him how to do that with raw code. We spent a fair bit of time working through with him because he hadn't really coded before, and finally got him to understand how to do that. And he's been with us with thousands of messages and examples since then. And now it's come back to we've automatically done it, and here we are helping him do it in an automatic way. So this code right here, there's really not very much there. We threw in a couple labels that aren't even needed, so there's a couple more lines. So we're talking something like 10 lines versus what it was before. We've been somewhere around 50 or 60 lines. So again, ZIM is progressing to make code easier for people and provide more features. Yet still, it's an amazing puzzle where we've got enough to do. We've got enough to do in our logic of building our app, but now we don't have to build the components. So the editor is here. There's a bunch of zaps, and these are actually my zaps. Those are lists, so we can store lists, and I can publish those lists. You can share the lists, etc. The list you get would be this basic one right here, and a nice way to see that perhaps is in the Expo as well. So if we go out to the Expo, here's what those basic ones look like. And there's also the featured ones right here, and there's the mid-leveled ones. I think the mid-level list seems to be growing the most all the time. Okay, the advanced one, and then the full one right here, where there are more full applications that kind of all work. So that's one way to see them, and then you can log in and deal with your files. So here's the files. I can load in files. These are the files that I work on. Just do a quick search on that. Load in the one for sprites. Load. And in comes my sprite one like that. Here's all the code. Anytime you go and view, so I'm going to hit view. This is, I guess, Karel's that I was viewing the last, but you can grab the code here. Oh, Karel still needs to work. We caught him. He still needs to work on his indenting, doesn't he? Actually, keep on telling him, I'm not going to look at your code unless it's properly indented. Anyway, we built the docs right into the editor as well, so you can search on a circle, for instance, and hit go, and there's the docs for the circle, examples, and so forth. We still need to do some integrating where we might actually take all these ones, have a little icon here saying view in editor, click, and we're in the editor. We haven't totally done that, but we're getting there. That's one thing we're looking at. So the editor is a wonderful place to start, as it says right here. Okay, start with the editor, and this is some start code. If you haven't been at ZIM in a while or at all, then that's a pretty good place to start, but check out the Learn section as well. Let me get you there. And remember that the banners all open up as well. Here's a bunch of stuff on generative art. You can see the pictures, but you can also open up the More section to show the different parts, like how we use the ZIM loop, how we handle time to make art, graphics, the generator, which is like P5.js, for instance, if you're coming in from there, shaders, NFTs, use the pen, shapes, blobs. We've got these Bezier handles on blobs and squiggles. We can animate along these paths. We can animate the paths. We can do hit tests on them, etc. Tiling, particle emitter, working with noise, working with sound, what the industry's been doing, educating. So we've got a ZIM certificates to make art with code. Okay, and then the various examples. Well, all that stuff is the same for the rest of the ZIM ones as well. So all these sections have the same kind of thing where you can open up the more about games and what we do with games. Okay, so as you can see, there's a lot in ZIM. When we said we were complete, we meant it. Down in the intro here, welcome. We aim to provide the most creative, colorful, concise, consistent, and complete JavaScript framework in the world. Below is an intro file, and there's some ways, some introductions into ZIM as well that way. And I think after 10 years that we've come pretty close. We've been developing consistently through those 10 years. The timeline, oh, where was that timeline? I think we put a link to it out in the forum here, right there. Here's the timeline, ZIM 1. So this you can drag like that if you want. ZIM Duo was launched in 2015. ZIM Try, ZIM Fourth. Each have 3 little letters, V, 6, HEP, Oct, Neo. Oct, we introduced style. So we're the only canvas, as far as I know, with style, like just like CSS, except it's almost the reverse. CSS was based on coding, like object literals. And so we've got style. ZIM 10, and you can see ZIM 10 stayed around for a while. We were like aching to end it, you know, let's just 10, there we go. And we ended up launching CAT, then NFT, and then finally ZIM version ZIM. We're done. And that didn't quite work out. 14, 15, 16, and 17. And you can pop on through to any of these as well. So there's the little, what is this called? The indicator right here. And go from one to the other. Isn't that cool? There's our ZIM timeline. So this has been a ZIM Explorer. We're probably moving along to 18, 19, and etc. I am Dr. Abstract. I hope you have had a good tour through ZIM, and come and visit us in the forums. Cheers. Have a great day or night. That's a bubbling. Where's the Explorer? We almost got to the end. Just a couple snafus. Bye-bye. We're still recording. Stop the sound. We're still recording. Couple snafus. If you're still here, oh, aren't you wonderful? I just went and got a drink of water. Yeah, so a bit of an Easter egg here on the end. One of the things as I was coming back, I realized I didn't invite you to join the forum. And so why don't you come on in and join that forum? Woohoo! Cheers. Bye.